Hey YouTubers, thanks for watching. Shan and I just got out of the premiere of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Honestly, I have been dreading this movie ever since they announced that James Mangold was going to write and direct it. I have been paying very close attention to all the rumors, the plot leaks, etc., etc., etc. There's a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube about this movie already. 99% of it by people who haven't even seen it. And I find that to be very annoying. We've got a whole bunch of people that are trashing this movie without even watching it. And that bugs me. So, I consider this to be one of the premier Indiana Jones YouTube channels on YouTube. I've got over 80 videos of exclusive Indiana Jones material. Nothing but Indiana Jones. You can literally watch Indiana Jones stuff on this channel all day long. So, for those of you that are subscribed for my Indiana Jones content, I felt it imperative that you get this review from us. I generally don't like going to premieres of movies because they're busy and crowded and you don't get very good seats. And generally you have to pay extra money for them, and blah, 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 blah. But we now live in an itty-bitty little town in southern Oregon where there's hardly any people. So now we don't really have to worry about that stuff. We paid matinee prices to go and see this movie. The theater wasn't even half full because there's nobody in this town. So it was actually a very nice experience. So there are going to be spoilers in this review, but we're going to try to hold them off until a little bit later. But yeah, there's a lot to talk about, so let's just get right into it. You want to talk about the things you liked first?
Sure.
Okay, you want to start?
Oh, I have to start?
I can start.
Okay.
Okay. The first 20 minutes of this film are outstanding. For those of you that know, the first part of the film is a flashback to 1944, I believe it was, 1945. Everybody who knows anything about this movie already knows that. So.
What about the people that are trying to not watch anything about it?
Anyway, that part was amazing. It felt like old school Indiana Jones. You can tell that Harrison Ford has been de-aged, but it still looks pretty darn good. They kind of cover it up by having a lot of it filmed in the dark, or the lighting is kind of off so that they can make it look a little bit more realistic.
Oh no, I thought it was some of the best de-aging I've seen.
I would agree with that. I think the last time we saw something this good was in Rogue One, when they had
no, he was
Princess Leia and Peter Cushing.
No, those looked
Peter
terrible.
Cushing looked really good, I thought.
It was very jolty.
This looked very, very good. I mean, it looked like Harrison Ford was just a little bit older than he was in Last Crusade, which is what they were shooting for. So, yeah, I thought it was really good. The action was good. It really had that Indiana Jones adventure flavor to it. My only big beef was the music. That's actually one of my beefs with this film as a whole, is they got John Williams to do the music, but none of it was very memorable other than scores that they'd taken from the previous indie films. In the opening section, there's actually a section where they've got like 3 or 4 different themes that John Williams wrote, mostly for Last Crusade, but I think there's a couple for Raiders in there also. And they just like combine it into one musical piece. That bugged me, because I did that for my movie. For those of you that don't know, I've made an Indiana Jones fan film that's also on this channel, and I used John Williams' music to score the film. Well, that's a fan film. It's a zero-budget fan film. And in this movie, they had John Williams, and they still did the same thing that I did, which kind of bugged me. It felt like a bit of a cop-out to me. The only memorable theme that I could pick out from John Williams in this movie was what they played during the end credits. And there's a couple of action scenes in the movie that have original scores as well. But other than that, it was all just kind of eh. Anyway, did you want to add anything to that?
Well, No, you about said it.
Okay.
I agree. It wasn't really anything new. It felt very recycled.
Yeah.
With the music.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, the music from the old movies are good, but
I was hoping for something new.
It could have been worse. There could have been like nothing from the old and nothing good. So
Yeah, that's true.
I mean.
But I mean, this is supposed to be John Williams' last hurrah. He has said that he's going to retire after this film, and I was kind of hoping for something a little bit more spectacular. But you know, I it's hard to not have high hopes when you go see an Indiana Jones film. I have tried to manage my expectations for this one because I personally can't stand James Mangold. I have hated every movie that I've seen that he's made. And now there are some that I haven't seen. Ford versus Ferrari is supposed to be very good. But all the ones that I have seen are poorly directed. The story is all over the place. Massive plot holes. It just bugs the hell out of me. We have a video on this from our Logan review that went on for an hour and a half of us griping about that movie. Now, I know a lot of you think that that's a freaking masterpiece, but if you want, go and watch my YouTube video on that, and you'll see all the problems that I had with that movie. So, anyway, when they announced that James Mangold was going to direct this film, I automatically lowered my expectations. But, honestly, this is probably the best James Mangold film that I've seen. The other ones he did were 3:10 to Yuma, which I also hated. The Wolverine, which had a lot of problems, it just wasn't as bad as Logan. And Logan. And I'm sure there are a few others out there too.
I agree on that. They're not good.
Yeah. Anyway.
Overall, I liked this movie. I didn't like, oh my gosh, loved it all to death. It was better than Crystal Skull. So that was good. And I did enjoy it.
I think I've also got another Indiana Jones movie or a video on here about how we rate the other four films on a point system based on different categories. And Raiders won. Even though Last Crusade is my favorite film.
Last Crusade is also my favorite.
Raiders won.
Yeah.
So you can check that out too, and we might actually do another one now that there's 5 films and find out where this one falls in there. I would probably rate this one better than Crystal Skull. I think I would rate it better than Temple of Doom. It can't touch the other two. Not a chance.
Yeah. I might also as well. So I did not like the main girl.
We're talking about positives right now.
You said some negatives already.
Yes, I have. But, yeah. The character of Helena?
Whatever it is.
Old what's-her-name? Phoebe Waller-Bridge. That is the most unsufferable character I think I've ever seen in an Indiana Jones movie. Even worse than Willie.
Yeah.
She was so bad. Self-centered, entitled, spoiled.
Could do no wrong, knows everything.
A Mary Sue right off the bat. Yeah, she's like memorized all this stuff and, is on par with Indiana Jones in every way. And in fact, the film goes out of its way for her to upstage him in several different scenes.
And she just, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a single good thing to say about that character.
They could have done the same type of character and written it so much better. And it just seems like they wrote it in every way to make you hate her no matter what. I mean, there was no, even at the end, there was no, redemption. I just hate her. Yeah.
She was the exact same character at the end that she was at the beginning.
No arc whatsoever.
Now, they try and show that, she's not just in it for the money anymore at the end, that she actually, tries to go out of her way to save Indy, which she wouldn't have done at the beginning. Are we doing
spoilers now? That's
not really much of a spoiler. It's pretty vague.
He doesn't understand what spoilers are. Sorry about that.
Anyway, I don't feel that there was... I mean, it hopped from one thing directly into another, and it was almost like she was like a completely different character. You can tell that the ending of this movie had been doctored. I paid attention to all the stuff that Doomcock was putting out. I honestly think he was right about everything from the very beginning. The original plot leak was that Indiana Jones was supposed to die. Phoebe Waller-Bridge was supposed to take up his mantle when they time travel back to 1935 or whatever, and then she had to relive all the adventures from all 4 previous films because Indy wasn't there to do it. And I honestly think that was their original plan. They were also talking about doing a Indiana Jones TV show on Disney Plus, and I can guarantee you that was supposed to star Phoebe Waller-Bridge and her sidekick, the kid, Teddy or whatever his name was.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie, there is no way at all that they were planning on doing anything else. The movie sold you that from the very beginning, and they stuck with it. Now, is that series actually going to happen at this point because of all the negative backlash? Probably not, because that's just going to be another money pit for Disney.
I'm very glad that they changed it.
Who knows? They might do it anyway, but you can tell that the ending of this film was seriously doctored. Another one of the rumors was that they'd filmed 6 endings, and all of them didn't sit well with the audience, and so they went back and filmed a 7th ending, and that's what we got. And the ending is a bit of a convoluted mess. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a little bit. A couple of other things I liked about this movie. Harrison Ford.
He did great.
Harrison Ford is always outstanding.
I felt like he was not phoning it in like I felt in The Crystal Skull. In The Crystal Skull, I felt like he was kind of phoning it in, not really caring, or maybe he didn't like it. Maybe he didn't care for the script, something, but you could tell something was off about him. In this movie, I really felt he was there. He was present. He was, giving it his all. I really felt like it was the real Indy again.
Yeah, and he looked great in the outfit.
He did. He looked great overall.
Yeah, he rocked it. Some of the early screenshots and everything that people were grabbing to try and make an Indiana Jones 5 hat, those ended up being wrong, in my opinion. In this film, it looked like he was basically wearing the same kind of hat that he wore in Crystal Skull, which was fine. The other one seemed to have a funky pinch on the crown, and the brim was a little bit too wide, and some stuff like that. This is an LC hat, by the way, a Last Crusade hat, for those that are curious. I do have a Crystal Skull hat as well, and I wore that when I filmed my Indiana Jones movie. So if you want a good look at that hat, you can watch that film, or my Penman hat collection video that's also on here. Anyway, the outfit looked great. The only beef I had with the outfit was that the gun was missing. He had no gun on his hip for the entire film, which was kind of weird. The satchel was on his right side, where the gun would normally be, and the whip was on his left. Normally, the whip will be on the left, and the bag will be on the left, and the gun will be on the right. That's the way it is in the other films. This one, there was no gun, so they just switched the side that the satchel was on. That kind of bothered me for most of the film, honestly. Most people aren't even going to notice that, but, I'm kind of a stickler for detail and that sort of thing. Anyway, Harrison Ford was phenomenal. It was nice to see John Rhys Davies, even though he was only in it for a little bit, and I think they had to stretch things a little bit to make it make sense with the story. Slight spoiler, if you don't want to hear this, skip ahead like 25 seconds. But Indy has helped Sala move to America, where he's a taxi driver. I didn't buy that. I didn't buy that Sala would do something like that. Now, supposedly he was looking for sanctuary or whatever, but that just didn't quite sit right with me. It felt like it was out of character for Sala. But it was nice to see him in the film. Want to add anything?
No, I agree.
Okay.
It was nice seeing him in it.
Some of the other characters in the film.
The bad guy?
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. He was pretty good.
Yeah. No complaints.
Yeah, I wouldn't rate him as a classic indie villain by any means.
No, not one of the top, but he wasn't bad at all.
He held his own. He carried the scenes that he was in. He helped tell the story. His demise was a little, but again, that's at the end of the film where everything just kind of felt really rocky there.
Well, I didn't buy the beginning either.
Oh, yeah. That's a spoiler, though.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we're a little ways into the video at this point. Let's just say it.
Okay. We like the movie, blah, blah, blah. Okay, now we're going to go into spoilers, so if you don't want to hear this...
Yeah, we're going to get into a little bit more detail about the movie, so if you don't want to hear it, you should probably shut it off here.
Yeah. So, all right, spoilers now. So, in the beginning, I didn't really care for the bad guy getting smacked in the face really hard by something where he should have friggin' died.
There's a scene where they're doing it's a scene on a train, and they're running along the top of the train, and Indy's hat doesn't blow off. That bothered me a little bit, but Indy's hat never falls off unless the script calls for it. That's happened in all the movies, so technically that was consistent. But yeah, there's a scene where a bar is coming along the back of the train, and Indy jumps over it, and it hits Mads Mikkelsen's character and knocks him right off the train. And
really hard.
It hits him really hard. In fact, I went, oh, in the theater when it happened, because it was a really hard smack.
And I thought he was dead. Comes back, no marks on his face, nothing.
I figured he'd at least come back with a scar on his face or something.
When he came back, he's all to this side, and I'm like, yeah, he's going to turn, he's going to have a big old scar. Nothing.
I was expecting that as well, but nothing. So that was a little annoying.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing that I found a little annoying. The sound effects. When Indy fires a gun, it makes a very specific sound in all of the other films. And in my film. They didn't have that in this film.
Yeah, but he didn't have his gun.
No, but it doesn't matter what gun he shoots.
Oh.
He shoots multiple guns in all the other films, and they all make the same sound. Every time Indy fires a gun, no matter what gun it is, it makes that very specific sound. Even when he fires the semi-automatic Browning in the bar scene, as opposed to his regular revolver, it made the exact same sound. This one, they don't have that sound. When Indy punches somebody out, in fact, when anybody gets punched in an Indiana Jones movie, it's a very specific sound. I use that sound in my film. There's a lot of other fan films that have used that sound as well because it's specific to Indiana Jones. They didn't have that in this film. I don't understand. That's a very, very basic attention to detail thing, and they didn't have it. That kind of bothered me. Any Indiana Jones fan would know that you need that sound for a punch, that you need that sound when Indy fires a gun. Not in this one. Anyway, I want to talk about some of the other characters. Indy's older friend, I think, what was his name?
Oh, I can't remember.
The older fella. The guy that was in the Captain America movies.
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And stuff, yeah.
I think Indy calls him Bez or something like that. It was some kind of weird name.
Yeah.
He is Helena's father, apparently. And he's in a couple of flashbacks. I guess in the present day, he's dead. So he's not in any of the present day scenes.
It was okay. It kind of felt just like a placeholder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Didn't really do much for the story, really. It was just something.
I agree. He was just kind of there. The MacGuffin was cool. I do like the MacGuffin, the actual Dial of Destiny and the two pieces that need to fit together and blah, 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 blah. So I might pick up one if there's one floating around and add it to my artifact collection. But it was one of the cooler MacGuffins in the Indy franchise, I thought. It was pretty cool. The other fella, we spoke about this a little bit earlier, Teddy.
The kid?
Helena's little kid sidekick. Who's basically he was going to be her short round in the TV series. That's basically what it came down to. He had no business being in this movie.
No. He was just,
every scene he's in, he's some kind of ex machina.
Yep.
To move the story along.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It was absolutely annoying.
To be the ex machina. It's like if something wasn't, something happened that they can't fix, there he was.
Yeah. Now, the character himself wasn't really that annoying.
No.
It was the way he was written to propel the story. That was the part.
And the actor wasn't that bad either. It's just the way it was written, the ex machina annoyances.
Yeah. Another thing I liked about, now this is actually some kudos to James Mangold for writing this into the film. Let's face it, Indiana Jones is old. Harrison Ford is 80 at this point. He was probably about 78 when they were filming this movie. The way that was written into the script, I actually really liked. There is no circumventing the fact that, Indy is 80 years old and can't kick ass anymore. In Top Gun Maverick, Maverick is, 50-something, but still Maverick. In this one, Harrison Ford is 80, and it did a very good job of showing his age, but at the same time still allowing him to go on the adventure and make it believable, I felt. So, yeah, good writing there. Bad writing? Well, bad writing was Helena, for one, just for simply putting her in the movie. And the black chick that was running the villains around.
Yeah,
that gal
what the
made
heck?
no sense at all. She had no reason to be there. I believe she was actually working for the government or something.
Yeah.
Because she kept saying he was supposed to meet the president or some garbage like that.
Yeah, because
it's like, these guys are clearly bad guys.
He helped them get to the moon.
Or something.
And
it was something really dumb.
Because of that, they were helping him. And they weren't supposed to do all the bad stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, so for the entire first section of the movie, while the bad guys are raising hell...
She's running around going, stop that! Stop that!
She's basically just allowing them to do it.
Stop that! And they're still killing people, and she's like, you're not supposed to do that! Oh my gosh! And it's just,
yeah, and then they kill her.
Yeah, and then
surprise,
they kill her.
surprise. That whole character was absolutely stupid. It was the enabler. It was like she was in the movie to just check some boxes. Mm-hmm. Female, African American. I'm surprised she wasn't a lesbian, but maybe that just wasn't a thing in the 60s. But I was kind of expecting that with the way that Disney likes to check their boxes these days. But
I'm surprised that wasn't the main character.
That's one of the reasons that I was scared to death about watching this film, is because the stuff that Disney has come out with checks boxes for very specific things. And every time they do that, it's the expense of it's at the expense of the characters that we love and a decent story.
There's ways.
This one had a little bit of that, but it wasn't enough to ruin the movie, which I do appreciate.
But there's ways that you can do that and not just make it a checking the box.
Yeah.
You can put, people of color and minorities and stuff in roles and stuff and make it not so obvious that you're just checking boxes.
Yep, agreed.
You need to put them in, good roles and make it not just because of their color, but because of their talent and because it, is good in the story and everything, and they totally could have, and it just was. Yeah.
And you could tell that some of that got in the way of this film, but it wasn't an overwhelming in-your-face type thing, which was good. One of the most annoying scenes for me was after Indy gets shot, and that was another thing that kind of bugged me. He got shot like right here.
But he was still doing all kinds of stuff, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, he freaking jumped out of an airplane after getting shot like that.
Yeah.
And, but I mean, that was towards the end, and you could tell that they had doctored the end to try and save the pile of crap that they were going to feed us. So,
I was going to say one of my most annoyances was the underwater scene.
Oh, yeah, with the eels.
The scuba diving, which they paid no attention to any realistic... anything.
Yeah, and they set the rules before they even went down there. You can only go so far, and you've only got 3 minutes. And then they immediately broke both of those rules. And, I mean, that was another thing that kind of bugged me about the film, is like every time they find something, the bad guys just take it from them. And the bad guys are just following them around the whole time.
There's no reason they should have been there when they were
scuba diving. The bad guys find them in the middle of the ocean when they're diving down to find a piece of the Dial of Destiny, because it's basically in 2 parts. So they're trying to find
the tablet to find the second
tablet
part
that will allow them to find the second section, and Helena, being the brilliant woman that she is able to just pull these coordinates out of her ass. The problem is somehow the bad guys did the exact same thing,
and they have no business doing it.
There was no rhyme or reason or even no explanation at all for the bad guys to be there. But they show up, kick everyone's ass, and steal the item. And it was just like, jeez.
Well, even with the tablet, she gives them the wrong
information. And then Helena gives them all of the information that they need and has a stick of dynamite stuck in her pocket and then blows up the boat. And her and Indy escape on another boat to wherever they're going. And it actually shows on the map that they, which was another thing. It's like, how much gas we got in this thing? And then they travel 1,000 miles in this itty bitty, it was like the size of a decent motorboat. And that was it. And they travel 1,000 miles in this boat. And Mads Mikkelsen is sitting there looking at them through the binoculars. He's like, oh, this is exactly where they're going.
Yeah.
And then meets them there in a boat that can't move.
They're not going west. They're going east. They must be going exactly where I know that they're going.
Yeah.
He had no reason to doubt.
And there were several examples in the movie where that happened, where the bad guys just magically show up. Even though they would have no clue on where the good guys are going. And it's not like they magically
show up later. It's instant. Instant. They're already there. They're waiting for
whatever's convenient for the storyline.
It was ridiculous.
And that part bugged the crap out of me. However, that has also happened in other Indiana Jones films.
Yeah.
So, but this one did it multiple times.
But again, still enjoyed the movie. I mean, these bad things are not really ruining the movie.
Yeah. When you go into an Indiana Jones movie, you have to suspend some disbelief because they're all of them have little like ridiculous scenes in them
and plot holes and issues.
One of the ones that really bugs me about Last Crusade is when he's hanging on to the side of the tank and his strap gets caught. It's like there is no freaking way that could happen. And then even after it happens, he's able to climb right up off of it and doesn't even have to untangle the strap.
Yeah.
That one just bugs me every single time I see that film. But every film has some of that in it. But this one had more than it should have. The tuk-tuk chase, they were like flying through the streets in the tuk-tuk at like 60 miles an hour.
What tuk-tuks can't do.
Yeah, a tuk-tuk has one wheel in the front and two wheels in the back. So as soon as you corner going really fast, the thing's going to flip. That's why they don't make three-wheelers anymore.
But they're going like this and staying upright the entire time.
Yeah, and the whole scene, Helena was just talking shit to Indy the whole time. Mm-hmm. Boy, did that bug me.
Oh, she's so annoying.
Oh, I hate everything about her character. And I know everyone else on YouTube has said that, but all those people haven't seen the movie yet. So I'm just telling you right now, her character is just going to drive you nuts.
Yeah,
if you're a fan of Indiana Jones at all, she's just going to make you want to puke.
They could have written it where she doesn't believe in all this mumbo jumbo and she just wants her cash. And she learns that that's not the way or whatever like that. They could have made a character like that and not made it so insufferable and so annoying and just aggravating. And
you just want to smack her every time she's on screen.
And the actress just... I think the actress had part to do with it as well because I don't know.
Well, they brought her on because she's a feminist.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That's probably what it was. There was just something about her that just...
maybe you don't know much about her, but
no.
The last James Bond movie, they brought her on to feminize James Bond, and that's why he gets killed off at the end of that movie. They kill off James Bond in a James Bond movie.
Yeah, that's nice.
And she had a hand in doing that, so...
Well, all I knew is that there was something about her that just...
Oh, spoilers for the James Bond movie, by the way. Sorry.
He's never even seen it. Another thing is the CGI was really crap.
It was pretty bad, yeah.
The CGI was really... I mean,
it's like they knew it was bad because every time they were using a lot of CGI, it was dark.
Or really shaky cam and stuff. The regular effects, the not CGI, practical effects were pretty good. I mean, things look really good. They did really good. But every time CGI, I mean, it was uncanny valley, just really bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. But the plot conveniences...
Except for making Indy younger. That's one part that I thought was really well done.
It is actually worth the price of admission just for the first 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
When that scene was over, I was like, well, we got our money's worth, so...
I felt like I was watching one of the older movies. Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah, it was very, very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And even if you hate the rest of the movie, it's actually kind of worth going just for that section. For those of you that are dying for a good taste of Indiana Jones, go to a matinee, pay the $8, and enjoy yourself for 20 minutes.
The ending was weird.
The ending was all over the place.
It was like, ever since, as soon as she punches him in the past, and as soon as he wakes up in the present...
We haven't even covered that part yet.
Yeah. Well, as soon as he wakes up in the present, from then on, it was just like, are we still in the movie, or... This is really weird, because there's, like, no music playing. It doesn't, like... Well, the music that they do, it's just very, very little. It felt really weird and off, and the tone was off, and it was just like, this is how they're ending it?
The whole ending was really awkward. When we were watching it, Shannon leaned over to me, and she's like, how long is this movie? I'm like, 2.5 hours. I'm like, we're already 2.5 hours, or 2 hours in. How are we going to wrap this up in half an hour? And they did. They just did it very poorly.
They did it really bad. I was like, wow, 2 hours? It's been 2 hours. It doesn't feel like 2 hours. This movie's good. You know, I'm into it. And then...
Yeah.
Bleh.
It would have been 10 times better without Helena being in the movie.
Oh, yeah. Completely.
It was just so cringe. Oh, it was so cringe. Like the scene where she's on the motorcycle. That was a great one. She's chasing after an airplane on a motorcycle. It was like doing like Lara Croft stuff or something. Just, we gotta make her look like a badass. We gotta make her look like a badass. And of course, Indy is shot and captured. So she has to come to his rescue. And it seems like that kind of happens. I mean, she's also the one that rescued him from the eels in the water. And it's like, she just has to save Indy all the time because that's what her character does. Because she's better than Indy.
And she does it with her nose upturned.
Yeah.
She did that a lot.
Yeah. Or the part where Teddy magically learns how to fly a plane in 30 seconds.
That was beautiful.
So that he can chase after him at the end there. Mm-hmm. It's like, good Lord.
I almost wish that it was like a longer movie so that they could have like had a little bit more with the past and then wrapped it up. But it just seemed really rushed.
Yeah.
The
ending seemed really rushed.
You get very little time travel. They time travel and then they come back and that. And
yeah, the movie's almost over before they do any time traveling at all, which is where they doctored the ending. I mean, you can almost guarantee that. But up to that point, I mean, if you just watch it up to the point where they actually do time traveling, it's a pretty decent movie.
It's a good movie.
I would probably give it 7 out of 10 stars or something like that. I enjoyed it. That 2 hours went by really fast.
It was a very enjoyable movie.
Another scene I really liked was
it was very enjoyable.
The scene in the streets with the parade where Indy's on horseback.
Mm-hmm.
I always love it when Indiana Jones is on horseback. There's just something magical about Indiana Jones being on the back of a horse. And that part was pretty well done. You could tell where they'd used CG and some stuff like that, but and there's no way that motorcycle would be able to outrun the horse.
That was another thing that really bothered me. Indy is her godfather, mm-hmm. and she just leaves him to die in the beginning and doesn't even care.
Oh yeah, yeah. She just leaves him to the villains. I mean,
it's not about that she takes it to sell it and make money and she's being stingy. She actually left him to die.
Yeah.
And doesn't care.
Yeah, it gives him this big freaking sob story about you were never there, blah, blah, blah. Steals the freaking piece of the Dial of Destiny right up from underneath his nose. Locks the door so he can't get out, so the bad guys nab him. And then she goes to sell it to the highest bidder. And then even when he shows up, she has no remorse.
Nope.
Just...
I want my money.
Snippy and smart alecky and... Oh, God, I just wanted to smack her. The character of Helena is everything that is wrong with today's society.
Yes.
Wrapped up in a neat little package.
Yep.
Self-entitlement. Not having to work for anything.
Yep.
In fact, there's even one section where she's mouthing off to him saying how she's gorgeous and self-sufficient and all this stuff. She's not self-sufficient once in the whole frickin' movie. She's either stealing what she needs or piggybacking off of everybody else. Oh, it just makes me... it boils my blood, man.
Yep.
Okay.
I just wish that she wasn't in it, because I would have loved the movie if she wasn't in it.
Can you imagine making a TV series with her as the star?
Ugh.
And the little kid as the sidekick?
Ugh.
God,
that'd be insufferable.
Yeah, it makes me barf just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I know we've done a lot of bitching about this film.
But we do like it.
There were a lot of things to complain about. But in the grand scheme of things, those are pretty minor.
Yeah.
Honestly.
We didn't love it, but we liked it. We enjoyed it. It was worth going and seeing.
The story, even though it's got its problems, is interesting.
A decent story.
And it keeps you invested.
Yes.
Harrison Ford freaking carries the movie.
Oh, yes.
And I had no doubt that he would.
I was like so worried because of how tired and phoned in it felt in Crystal Skull. This one, he felt like life was back in him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just there. And I loved that. Even though he was the old, grouchy Indy, he was so much...
I didn't think he was really that grouchy. I thought the things he was bitching about were valid.
Oh no, they were all
things
valid.
to bitch about.
But it was that they were trying to show the,
most of his crankiness comes from Helena screwing him over.
Yeah.
And I mean, who wouldn't bitch about that, right?
It's true. But it wasn't like grumpy old man or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're trying to get him like an older man, you know, and everything, kind of like with when they give him the send off for him retiring, he's like, you know?
Yeah, and he even gives away the the plaque to a homeless guy or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about that. You know, even though with that, it felt like he had more life in him than he did in Crystal Skull.
Disney has a habit of making our characters, our heroes that we grew up with, old, cranky, washed up, and basically kicked to the curb to make room for
the next generation.
Yeah, the next generation
and I
that
really
is
feel
aimed
that,
at modern audiences.
And I really feel that they didn't do that in this.
I was really scared because at the end of the flashback, he's lying there shirtless on the couch, and the first thing he does is get up and gripe at a bunch of young people that are playing their music too loud or whatever. And Marion's divorced him, and they got rid of Mutt by saying
he died in the war.
He enlisted for Vietnam and got killed over there.
And then she left
the
him
scene where he
because
actually
he
explains that to Helena was really emotional. Harrison Ford just delivered that fantastically. Oh, man. But when you get fed all of that crap, like right when the flashback ends, you're like, uh-oh, here we go. It's just going to be more, you know...
grumpiness and...
grumpy, crotchety, not able to
wasn't.
perform, and you were going to have the female character just step in and do everything.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
And they didn't. I mean,
they tried to by making her save him all the time, but in all honesty, he held his own.
Yeah, I thought so.
He really did.
It didn't ruin the movie for me.
Yeah, it would have been better if it didn't have that in it with her, but he really held his own.
I would have liked Sala to have gone with him. Sala actually asks to go with him.
And I was like, yes, please, please.
Why don't you? I mean, you're going to need some help here. Sala is a reliable sidekick for Indy with a very good track record, and he actually asks to go with Indy at the beginning of the film because he wants one final adventure. Why not? I mean, when someone asks to go on an adventure with you, you say yes.
All right. So
Harrison Ford said no, and that part, yeah.
I think they were trying to, he was not up to it. I mean,
I felt that was out of character. I felt that Indiana Jones would have said yes.
Yes,
I mean, he's gone to Sala.
Did you see how Sala was moving in the movie, though?
Well, they're all old.
Yes, but I think that they were trying to get off that. He's not able to. Yes, he wants to, but he really looked like Sala was struggling.
And Indy was even downplaying the adventure, saying it wasn't going to be an adventure because it wasn't supposed to be an adventure. He was supposed to go and get the dial back from Helena and come back home, and that was supposed to be the end of it. Mm-hmm. And then the bad guys conveniently showed up again when they had, again, no business or knowledge of how that was going to go down.
But anyways.
But again, they just magically appear, and then shenanigans ensue.
Anyway, so...
It's funny how nobody, comes up with rhymes or reasons for that. Storytelling basics. Explain to us how we get from point A to point B. Don't just magically have us from point A and then, point B. Point C. It's like, we need some kind of road that's going to take us there that makes sense, or you're going to lose your audience. And there were a lot of times during this film where it was like teetering on that precipice, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because some of it was just not viable.
There was a lot of small things that would have given it more points, more stars out of 10.
Yep.
If it would have just been
some
a little
simple
tweak
some
here,
simple
little tweak
explanations there. For stuff, or don't do things that are out of character, or whatever. You're going to give us a character, tell us about the character, and then keep things that are within that character's realm of possibilities. But don't feed us a character and then give us something that's against everything that character stands for, and then they'll be like, all right, because the plot needs it.
Anyways, so I think we did pretty good.
Yeah. Would you recommend people going to see this film?
Yes. If you enjoy Indiana Jones, I would recommend to go see this.
Yeah, I would as well. The rumor is this film needs to make a whole bunch of money just to break even because they went way over budget with reshoots and all that nonsense. And, I mean, you can tell that they cut corners at the end of this film. Mm-hmm. You're probably not going to like the ending. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're probably not going to like
it. It's not, oh, man, that's so terrible. It's just, meh. It's like, what?
Yeah, the movie builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and then just it just kind of fizzles out.
But it's not like, oh, darn them with that ending. It's not like that kind of ending. It's just,
yeah.
meh.
You don't get a shit ending, which is probably what we would have gotten if they hadn't gone back and done some reshoots, because I know what they were cooking. I have absolute faith that Doomcock was right on that.
And we can tell you what the ending is, but you're not going to understand unless you actually see the ending.
Yeah, and there's not really any reason to spoil it, because it's not really worth talking about.
Yeah,
in
it's
detail.
not. It's not. It just, meh.
Yeah.
It just kind of fizzled. It's a
Yeah.
fizzle. It's not an anger fist. It's a fizzle.
But for me, Raiders fizzled at the end, too. I mean, after the truck chase, everything after that was just going to be a letdown. And there was like zero action from that point on.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the Raiders fizzled in the end for me. And I actually discussed that in our ratings of the 4 films that's also on this channel. The ending for that movie is probably the crappiest of all 4 films, in my opinion.
5?
5 at least tried. I would still rate the ending of 5 above Raiders.
You said in all 4 films. In all 5 films, it has the crappiest ending, you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, even adding this into that mix, I would still say that Raiders has the worst ending. It fizzles out. It fizzles out bad for me.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like Crystal Skull.
A lot of times when I'm watching Raiders,
Oh, I guess
as
the
soon as the
wedding's
truck
the
scene
end
is
of Crystal
over, I'll
Skull.
just shut it off
Yeah.
and go on to something else. The ending of Crystal Skull was kind of,
I hated the ending with the aliens and everything.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
and this movie at
Terrible.
least gives you an ending. It's an ending you can live with, but it's probably not an ending you're going to be happy with. You're just going to be like, okay, what just happened over the last 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's just like, it throws all of this crap at you, and you're just kind of supposed to go, okay.
Sure. Why
It's
not?
like, here, have a, bowl of cereal, except there's going to be cornflakes and shredded wheat and oatmeal and just all sorts of weird
Sugar
stuff
snacks
thrown in
and
there. Yeah.
marshmallows and
And you're going to take it and you're going to like it. And you're just kind of like, okay. But the rest of the movie is good enough that even though we kind of walked out of the theater scratching our heads about the crazy ending we just seen, we still like the film.
yeah.
So, is this film as awful as everybody on YouTube says it is? No, not
No.
by a long shot. Not by a long shot. Is it worth seeing? Yeah. Is it going to be a huge blockbuster that makes over $1 billion?
No.
Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Is it going to make its money back? Well, I don't know. These days, I don't trust what people say about box
I
office
think
numbers
with all
anymore.
the negative stuff that's been going around about this movie,
And shame on you, YouTube. Shame on you.
I think a
all
lot
the
of
people out there
yeah.
that are trying to make money by bashing this film just because negativity sells.
Yeah.
Shame on you.
Yeah, seriously.
Shame on you. We will never do that on this channel. I am never going to post a single video just to make money.
Nope.
It's not going to happen. We are going to stick to our morals on this channel, even if it never grows, even if I'm never able to make a living off of this channel. We are going to continue to feed you honesty and good, clean family fun. That's what we want to try and do here. For the most part. For the most part. I mean, my gun videos aren't exactly family videos.
fun.
But they are clean. We don't swear.
Yeah, we always
don't-
clean our
don't-
guns.
We don't give you the Macho Man thing or
I
any
swear
of that.
sometimes. It sometimes slips.
It does sometimes slip out a little bit, but we still keep it PG-13.
Yes. So, all right.
Anyway, final thoughts, if any.
That was.
I would go see it.
Yes.
I would. If you're an Indiana Jones fan, you owe it to yourself to go and see this film.
Yes.
Now, if you're just a casual moviegoer, you might still enjoy it.
Yeah, it was still a good movie.
Now, if you are going into that theater looking for things to pick apart, just to bash the film, you will find them.
Yeah.
You will absolutely find them. But if you go in there with an open mind and just want to enjoy an Indiana Jones film and try and have a good time, I think you will.
Yeah.
Good?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's our thoughts on the movie. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.